thank you for that lovely introduction. And my name is Kat, and I serve with the Tribal EcoRestoration Alliance, helping to support crew operations and stewardship projects, which I will tell you a little more about now. For my service term, I moved up to Pomo land, specifically southeastern Pomo, eastern Pomo, and more broadly Lake Miwok and Wapo lands. It's also known as Lake County, California. It's about 2.5 hours north of the Bay Area and San Francisco, and 2.5 hours west of Sacramento. It's a pretty unique place that not many people visit nowadays, unless you're going bass fishing. It's, as my supervisor puts it, a pain in the butt to get into Lake County from any direction, just because it's in the middle of the North Coast ranges, and so there's lots of windy roads, and it has a really cool geography, like the northern piece, like the panhandle kind of thing on the top right, or the bottom right photo is all Mendocino National Forest, and then the people live around the lake, and you drive around the lake to get to where you need to go. And fun fact, Clear Lake is the oldest freshwater lake in North America. And the county is super interesting, and it was really cool to live here. I've never spent time in Northern California before, and one of the really cool pieces of it was the biodiversity. Many of us may know that California is a biodiversity hotspot, one of only a few in the world. And this North Coast Range region is kind of like a biodiversity hotspot within a hotspot. So I was just constantly in awe of the plants and fauna that were here. It straddles, it's like close to the coast, but it's still pretty inland. So you get this really interesting combination of coastal and inland species, which is really cool for a nerd like me. On another note, Lake County has been really struggling, especially because of catastrophic wildfire. Like so much of Northern California, Lake County has burned. Some people have estimated that it's 60% of the county has burned in the decade since 2011 to 2021. And 1,800 homes have burned. So for a county with only 68,000 people, like that's literally people are like not able to find housing now partially because of wildfire, in addition to the economic woes and social issues that the county is facing. Which brings me to my host site, the Tribal EcoRestoration Alliance, also known as TERRA, was formed as a reaction to this issue of catastrophic wildfire, people losing their homes, the ecological devastation, and also as a larger response to a more systemic issue, which is this is all happening because Indigenous people are not able to steward their lands. They've been actively barred from stewarding their lands, specifically in this region for over 150 years. And that's created a lot of issues. So what TERRA is a nonprofit, and it's formed with the mission to revitalize not only the ecology, but also economy and culture of the region through Indigenous-led land stewardship. TERRA was formed in 2019 under guidance from tribal leadership. We have an all-Native board of directors who dictates the direction of the work, and then a Native hand crew who's the ones that are actually putting down prescribed fire, ecocultural fire on the land, and implementing land stewardship projects overall. And TERRA does work in Lake County mainly, and also in Mendocino County, which is, when you look at the rough boundaries of ancestral lands, it's like Pomo land, broadly speaking. So where I came in for my service year, along with my co-fellow Michelle, we are tasked with developing a mapping program for Terra using GIS software, Geographic Information System software, and then holding trainings for staff and select audiences. And I also found it really important to be learning how to effectively engage with non-native audiences around the issue of the importance of Indigenous land stewardship. And lastly, there is a really big need that was identified a little further down the line about Terra's inventory system, because we have a really unique workflow where we're constantly checking in tools on a daily basis, purchasing a lot of equipment, growing really fast. So these three things underpinned what I did this year and formed the kind of activities that I embarked on. So in practice, my service year looked like a lot of things, but I wanted to highlight some like key kind of categories. A big part was Tara leads a ecological/cultural burn and training program, and I participated and coordinated those trainings and burns. I also assisted with land stewardship projects outside of burning, especially the logistics and site visits, and then finally actually doing the developing and maintaining of Terra's inventory. Prior to coming up to Northern California, I really didn't know the importance of burning in general. I knew it very abstractly, and first week on the job, I was thrust into a 4-day, 32 hours of fire training, learning how to actually be safe with fire, what to look out when you're fighting fires, but then more importantly, when you're lighting fires, so actually putting fire on the ground, good fire. So I have my firefighter type 2, which means that I'm able to go out on any federal wildfire or prescribed fire, legally speaking. And then that included the arduous pack test, which is the middle photo, is our lovely cohort fellow Petra and I right after we finished our pack test. And yeah, so the first part of it was doing the training and then helping a lot with the logistics. So like I was tasked with the paperwork, getting people's liability waivers, getting all the tables and chairs and gear and equipment, which is a lot every day in and out. And the second piece of Tara's burn program is burn implementation. So actually going out and doing the burns instead of just training for them. And so I was able to participate in 7 burns this year and coordinated about 11 of them. And that was a really awesome, unique opportunity that I did not expect that I would be doing a year ago, but I'm so grateful I did. And I did a variety of roles. So the middle is me as a fire effects monitor on my very first burn. And then the bottom right is me actually on the firing team, which just means putting fire down with a drip torch, gasoline, and then gasoline lights the plants on fire. A second program or project area I wanted to highlight was my work helping develop land stewardship protocols, and then helping with the logistics and implementation of those that land stewardship work. So one of these projects is a 5-year fuels reduction project on Bureau of Land Management land in this super wildfire prone area of kind of like central southern Lake County. There's only one road out of this neighborhood, and so residents are really concerned about the fire danger. But it's also, you can see on the left, like this forest, I don't know about y'all, but it doesn't look super healthy to me. This is because excluding fire for so long has let a lot of fuel, just like pieces of wood, build up. And the living trees are being crowded out by all this buildup. The little trees crowd out the bigger trees that still need the light. Specifically, conifers encroach on oaks because the conifers grow way faster than the oaks. So what our crew is doing was thinning this all out to make it a much healthier forest and also a much safer forest for the residents. So what I did was I installed, along with my fellow teammate Nigel, who's one of our crew members, we went out and installed 11 photo points across the area, and this is just to monitor the before and after, before treatment, after thinning, and then actually after doing burning on this land, which will be a few years out. I also developed another prescription proposal, which is still in progress, for another area of Southern Lake County in the area of Cobb. And this was a really awesome site visit because it was a really wet area and it had a lot of like riparian, more coastal species, which is like really unusual for that area of Lake County. And so this like chicker lily or leopard lily was something like I've never seen before in Lake County, and it was really awesome. So I went on the site visit, and then I typed up a long-term plan for how this neighborhood can try to take care of the land together under a community development association grant. And yeah, so those are two examples that in general I was helping with a lot of intake calls, site visits, and logistics for land stewardship projects this year. And I mentioned this before, but these are just a few. I couldn't resist putting in some of my favorite plants and fauna that I saw this year. The North Coast ranges again are like incredibly biodiverse, and that's also why like Native people are also incredibly diverse in this area, is because of the biodiversity. And I'm so grateful to have had such awesome mentors who have taught me so much about the ecosystems in this area. They're so fascinating and gorgeous to me. And lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about my work doing inventory, since it took up a lot of my time this year, and I had a lot of fun with it. I am someone who really likes organizing things. I've always been that way. I think my parents are on this call and they can attest to that. So it was a task of updating the old inventory system that they had and filling in those gaps, and actually then maintaining that system. And Tara owns about at least $100,000 of tools. And so like, it's again, checking tools in and out every day means that tools get broken a lot. They get left behind at project sites sometimes. And so it's been a really fun and intensive like process of like getting that system honed in, and making sure to track on all these little tools and pieces of equipment and gear. So that was really fun, and I'm going to be doing more of that next year. To close out, I had a really awesome time this year, and as others have said, I'm incredibly grateful for everyone that's made this year possible for me. I've felt the growth of the relationships and trust that I've been able to build with my coworkers, and that will continue to grow. And it's been a really awesome learning process with just being like spending time with people, getting to know people, and then feeling that trust when you're then out working with people in the field. It's a really good feeling. And yeah, as a result, I felt like I've been able to give just as much to Tara as Tara has been able to give back to me. And that just having that mutualism has been so awesome. And it wouldn't have been possible without the mentorship that I've had, not only just for the flora and fauna identification, but all of these. I've learned so much, and that wouldn't have been possible without my supervisor, Lindsay, and my coworkers, Jordan and Christina and Stony, and all of these other folks who have taught me so much. And from the GrizzlyCorps team as well, I've learned so much from my cohort of fellows and Cindy and Jasmine and Eliza. And yeah, just really grateful for y'all. And not to end things on a challenging note, but yeah, it was really because Tara is so young, it's really, there's no other kind of organization that I know of that does work exactly like Tara's. And so there's sometimes an identification of needs where it's like we can't really rely on anyone else. We have to make the system from scratch, and that requires a lot of brain power and a lot of trial and error. And it also means that sometimes you have to adjust when maybe there's too many cooks in the kitchen on a project, and you need to figure out whether it's more efficient if you just step back from the project. And lastly, just the work that Tara is doing, I truly believe is the way that we will heal from these 180 plus years of ecological imbalance due to colonization. It really creates a feeling of urgency, given our environmental and political climate that we're in, but just having to remember that it's going to require, as my supervisor, Lindsay, has said, it's going to require at least 180 more years of good work to balance out that 180 years of imbalance. So we're in the first steps, and I'm excited to see where it goes next. All right, that's all I have for now. Thank you all.